The grand hall of the Valthrin Palace floated high above the planet Casthera. Massive windows showed the purple clouds below and 3 moons hanging in the dark sky. Inside the hall, lights from 1,000 crystals made everything glow with a cold blue shine. Daehyun stood near the entrance, trying not to look nervous. He wore the formal uniform of Earth's Confederate Nations, dark blue with silver buttons. His hand stayed calm at his sides, but his mind raced. This meeting could save billions of lives or start a war that would destroy everything. The Valthrin were not like humans. They stood taller, with skin that shimmered like oil on water. Their eyes were large and completely black. They moved with grace that made humans look clumsy. And they thought humans were weak. Primitive creatures barely worth talking to. Emperor Vorath sat on a throne at the far end of the hall. He was massive, even for a Valthrin. His robes flowed around him like liquid metal. When he looked at Daehyun, his face showed nothing but cold disinterest. So, the Emperor said, his voice deep and echoing, "Earth sends us this diplomat to beg for peace." Daehyun took a breath. "Not to beg, Your Majesty. To negotiate. Humanity wants peace between our people. Peace." The Emperor made the word sound like an insult. "Your kind spreads across the galaxy like a disease. You take what is not yours. You refuse to bow to those greater than you. We explore. We learn. We survive." Daehyun kept his voice steady. "That is what humanity does. We have survived ice ages, plagues, wars with our own machines. We will survive this too." A ripple went through the Valthrin nobles in the hall. Some looked angry. Others looked curious. High above, hidden in a viewing gallery, Princess Aeryn watched everything. She was smaller than most Valthrin, more delicate. Her skin had a softer shimmer like pearl instead of oil. She leaned forward, her black eyes fixed on the human below. There was something about him. He stood in front of her father without fear. No one did that, ever. "You speak of survival," Emperor Vorath said, "but you are fragile. Your lives are short. Your bodies break easily. What makes you think you can stand against the Valthrin Empire?" "Because we always have," Daehyun replied. "Every time something tried to destroy us, we found a way. We adapted. We changed. We survived. That is our strength." The Emperor leaned back. For a moment he seemed to consider this. Then he waved his hand. "We will feast. Then we will discuss your proposal, but do not hope for much, human." The banquet hall was even larger than the throne room. Tables stretched in long rows, covered with food that looked beautiful but strange. Valthrin nobles filled the space, talking in their musical language. Daehyun sat at a table near the center, alone except for a few other human delegates who looked as uncomfortable as he felt. Aeryn had moved to a different gallery, still watching. She told herself it was just curiosity, but she could not look away from the human diplomat. He ate carefully, testing each food. He watched everything with sharp eyes. He was learning, she realized. Always learning. Then the explosion came. The blast tore through the east wall. Fire and smoke filled the hall. Valthrin nobles screamed and scattered. Human delegates dove for cover. Daehyun was thrown from his chair, hitting the floor hard. Through the smoke, figures in dark armor rushed in. They carried weapons that glowed red. Aeryn's eyes went wide. She knew those weapons. They belonged to the Purifiers, a radical group that wanted to eliminate all non-Valthrin species, kill the humans. One of the attackers shouted, "Kill the princess. Keep the Empire pure." Aeryn ran. She did not think. She just moved. Down the spiral stairs from the gallery, into the chaos of the banquet hall. She spotted Daehyun pulling himself up, blood on his forehead. "Come with me," she yelled, grabbing his arm. "Now." Daehyun looked at her in shock. A Valthrin princess was touching him. Valthrin nobility never touched other species, never move. Aeryn pulled him toward a small door hidden behind a curtain. Weapons fire burned the air around them. They ran through the door and into a dark corridor. "Where are we going?" Daehyun asked, running beside her. "Emergency bunker. Old security system. They won't find us there." They ran down corridor after corridor. The sounds of fighting grew distant. Finally, they reached a heavy metal door with strange symbols on it. Aeryn pressed her hand against a panel. The symbols glowed purple, then the door slid open. "Inside," she said. They rushed through. The door slammed shut behind them with a sound like thunder. Heavy locks clicked into place. Then silence. The bunker was dim, lit by small lights along the walls. It smelled old, like dust and metal. Daehyun could see the corridor stretched far ahead with doors on both sides. "We're safe," Aeryn said, breathing hard. "They cannot get through that door." Nothing can. Daehyun touched his forehead. His fingers came away red with blood. Thank you. You saved my life. You are a guest in our palace. It was my duty. But Aren's voice was not cold like her father's. It was soft, almost kind. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Aren walked to a panel on the wall. She touched it and symbols appeared in the air, glowing purple. Daehyun watched her face change. First confusion, then worry, then fear. What is it? He asked. The bunker's security system, she said quietly. It is reading my biosignature. My royal bloodline. That's good, right? It knows you're supposed to be here. No. Aren turned to look at him. Her black eyes were wide. This bunker was built long ago, during the Plague Wars. If a member of the royal family is trapped inside, the system assumes they are being held hostage. It has a protocol. What kind of protocol? If my biosignature stays inside for more than 48 hours. She took a breath. The bunker will self-destruct, to prevent enemies from using a royal hostage against the Empire. Daehyun felt his blood go cold. Can you override it? No, the system is sealed. No communication with the outside. The walls block everything. She looked at the glowing symbols. We have 48 hours. Then the bunker kills us both. They stood in the dim light, trapped together, a human and a Valthran princess. Outside, their people might be starting a war. Inside, a clock was counting down to their deaths. There must be a way, Daehyun said. Aren's voice was barely a whisper. There is one way, but you will not like it. Daehyun stared at the princess. The dim light of the bunker made her shimmer like a ghost. His mind was still trying to process everything. Minutes ago, he was at a diplomatic dinner. Now he was trapped underground with an alien princess and a countdown to death. What way? He asked. Tell me. Aren moved away from the wall panel, walking deeper into the bunker. Daehyun followed her. They passed through corridors lined with old storage containers and equipment covered in dust. Finally, she stopped in a larger room that looked like living quarters from long ago. The bunker security system reads my biosignature constantly, she explained. It knows I am royal blood. That is what triggers the countdown. So we need to change your biosignature? Daehyun said. He was good at solving problems. That was why Earth sent him. Can we trick the sensors? The sensors are very old, but very good. They read DNA patterns, chemical markers, everything that makes me who I am. Aren sat down on an old bench. She looked tired. There is only one way to change a Valthran biosignature fast enough. We must introduce foreign DNA markers into my system. Daehyun felt his stomach twist. What does that mean exactly? Aren looked up at him. Her black eyes reflected the blue lights. Valthran biology is different from human biology. When we mate, we exchange DNA directly. It mixes in our blood, changes our chemical signature. It is how we bond for life. You're saying we need to... Daehyun could not finish the sentence. Yes. Aren's voice was steady, but he could hear the tension in it. If enough human DNA enters my system, the sensors will read me as changed. Not fully royal anymore. The countdown will stop. Daehyun turned away, running his hand through his hair. There has to be another way. Medical equipment, maybe? This is an emergency bunker. There must be supplies. I already checked the inventory. Aren stood up and walked to a cabinet on the wall. She opened it, showing rows of medical supplies. There are tools here, yes, but nothing that can artificially introduce DNA markers the way the sensors need. The procedure would take weeks in a proper medical facility. We have 48 hours. Exactly. Daehyun started pacing. His training taught him to stay calm, to think clearly. But this was beyond anything he had prepared for. What about communication? Can we send a message out? Let them know we're alive. The bunker walls are reinforced with trellic metal. Nothing gets through. No signals, no waves, no light. That is the point. It is a perfect hiding place. Aren closed the cabinet, which makes it a perfect prison. Outside the bunker, chaos ruled the palace. The attack had killed 12 Valthran nobles and 3 human delegates. Security forces had killed or captured all the attackers. But the princess was missing. So was the human diplomat. Ji-won stood in the command center of the human delegation ship, staring at the reports. She was Daehyun's sister, and she knew him better than anyone. He would not run. He would not hide. Something was wrong. We need to search the palace, she told Commander Taejin. Every room, every corridor. Taejin shook his head. The Valthran won't allow it. They think we took her. They're saying this was a human plot to kidnap the princess. That's insane. You saw the attackers. Those were Valthran weapons, Valthran armor. Doesn't matter what we saw. Emperor Vorath is calling for our blood. Tajin pulled up a hologram showing Valthran warships moving into position around the human ships. If we don't find them in the next 2 days, there will be war. Back in the bunker, Daehyun was examining every inch of the security panel. He was not a scientist, but he had studied enough technology to understand basics. The symbols were in Valthran language, but the panel itself worked like any computer system. "Tell me more about your biosignature," he said, not looking away from the panel. "Exactly what does it read?" Aaron moved closer. "DNA patterns, blood chemistry, hormonal markers, neurological signatures. The royal family has unique patterns that have been recorded for thousands of years. And if those patterns change, then I am no longer recognized as pure royal blood." Her voice dropped. "In the old days, that meant death. A royal who mixed blood with another species was considered corrupted, dangerous to the line." Daehyun finally turned to look at her. "Does your father still believe that?" Aaron met his eyes. "My father believes humans are barely above animals. If he found out I mixed blood with you..." She did not finish. She did not need to. "So even if we survive the bunker, we might not survive your father?" "Yes." They sat in silence for a long moment. The blue lights hummed softly. Somewhere in the walls, machinery clicked and whirred, counting down the hours. "Please," Aaron said suddenly. Her voice cracked. "Please just do it before my father sees. Before anyone knows. We can stop the countdown, then find a way to reverse the process later. But we need to survive first." "Reverse it?" Daehyun asked. "The DNA markers fade over time. A few months, maybe less. We just need to survive long enough to get out, then we can fix everything." She stood up, her hands clasped together. "I know what I am asking. I know this goes against your customs, your ethics, but billions of lives are at stake. If we die in here, our people will go to war." Daehyun stood too. "You don't know anything about my ethics. Then tell me. Help me understand humans." He took a breath. "We believe in consent, in choice, in doing things because we want to, not because we have to. And you do not want this. I don't want you to die. I don't want war." He stepped closer. "But I also don't want to use you like a tool to solve a problem." Aaron's expression softened. For the first time, Daehyun saw something other than royal pride in her face. He saw fear, yes, but also something else. Respect, maybe. "You are not what I expected," she said quietly. "My father told me humans were crude, simple creatures. But you think deeply. You care about my feelings even when death is counting down. That's what makes us human. We care even when it's inconvenient." They stood close now in the dim blue light. Aaron reached out slowly, carefully, and touched Daehyun's hand. Her skin was cool and smooth, not quite like human skin. Her touch was gentle. "I am asking you," she said, "not as a princess, not as a diplomatic solution. I am asking you, Daehyun of Earth, to help me survive." He looked down at their hands, human and Valthran touching, something that probably had never happened before in history. "Let me look for another way first," he said. "Give me 24 hours. I'll search every system, every supply, every option. If I can't find anything..." He squeezed her hand gently. "Then we'll talk about it again." Aaron nodded. Relief showed on her face. 24 hours. They separated and began searching the bunker together. Room after room, corridor after corridor. Daehyun examined every piece of technology. Aaron translated every Valthran symbol and text. Hours passed. They found food supplies that would last months, water recyclers, medical equipment, old weapons, historical records, but nothing that would solve their problem. As the first day ended, they sat together in the living quarters, exhausted. 18 hours left, Aaron said, checking the countdown. "Then we must decide." Daehyun nodded, too tired to speak. Outside, he knew Jiwon would be searching for him. The Emperor would be demanding answers. Tensions would be rising, and inside, trapped in the dark, a human and an alien princess faced an impossible choice. The bunker's lights dimmed automatically during sleep cycles. Daehyun lay on an old sleeping platform staring at the ceiling. He could not sleep. His mind kept turning over the problem like a puzzle with missing pieces. Across the room, Aaron sat near a window that showed nothing but rock. She was reading from a data pad she had found in one of the storage rooms. The blue glow lit her face. "Can't sleep either?" Daehyun asked. "No, I found historical records. I thought they might help, but..." She set the pad down. They just show me how foolish my people have been. Daehyun sat up. What do you mean? Come look. He walked over and sat beside her. She handed him the data pad. The text was in Valthran, but she had set it to translate into human language. This bunker was built 3,000 years ago, she explained. During the Crimson Plague, a disease that killed 90% of my people. Daehyun read the records. They described a Valthran empire much different from today. Desperate, dying, afraid. They had built bunkers like this across their worlds, hoping to preserve the royal bloodlines. We almost went extinct, Aaron continued. The plague came from another species we had conquered. They carried it, but were immune. We were not, she pointed to a section of text. My ancestors decided that contact with other species was the problem. So when we survived, we built our empire on isolation and dominance. Never mix with others. Never trust others. But that's not what the plague taught you, Daehyun said, understanding. The lesson should have been to understand other species better. To study them, learn from them. Yes, but fear makes people choose wrong lessons. Aaron took the pad back, and now 3,000 years later we are still afraid. Still building walls. Daehyun thought about Earth's history. The wars, the disasters, the times humanity almost destroyed itself. We were like that too once. We nearly wiped ourselves out with nuclear weapons. Then climate change. Then artificial intelligence that turned against us. How did you survive? We learned to work together. Not just humans with humans, but with our machines, our environment, everything. He smiled slightly. We're good at adapting. It's our best skill. Aaron looked at him with those black eyes. Tell me more about humans. Help me understand, so Daehyun talked. He told her about Earth, about oceans and mountains and cities that touched the sky. He told her about human history, the good and the bad. How humans fought wars but also created art. How they destroyed but also built. How they hated but also loved. We're not perfect, he said. We make mistakes all the time. But we keep trying. We keep learning. My father thinks you're weak because you change so much. Maybe change is strength, not weakness. They talked through the night cycle. Aaron told him about growing up in the palace, always watched, always judged. She told him about her older brother who would be emperor someday, and how he was even colder than their father. She told him about looking at the stars and wondering about other species, other ways of living. I always wanted to travel, she admitted, to see other worlds, meet other people, but that is not allowed for someone like me. Maybe someday it will be. Maybe. When the lights brightened again for the day cycle, they had 12 hours left. 12 hours before the bunker would destroy itself and them with it. Daehyun stood up, stretching his sore muscles. I want to try the medical equipment again. There must be something we missed. They went back to the medical bay. Daehyun examined every tool, every container, every device. Aaron helped him, explaining what each Valthran instrument did. Wait, Daehyun said, holding up a small device. What is this? A DNA sequencer. Very old model. It reads genetic patterns. Can it modify them? No, only read them. But Aaron's eyes widened. Unless what? There's a medical drone in storage, very old. It was designed to repair genetic damage from radiation. She rushed to a cabinet and pulled out a spherical device covered in dust. If we could reprogram it using the sequencer, Daehyun felt hope surge. It might be able to alter your biosignature artificially. They worked together, connecting the sequencer to the drone. The interface was ancient, nothing like modern technology. But Daehyun had studied old systems in his training. Humans had survived by learning to fix anything, use anything. His fingers moved over the controls, trying different combinations. Aaron watched, translating symbols when needed. There, Daehyun said finally. I think I have it. The drone can take a DNA sample from me, then introduce markers into your bloodstream gradually. Will it work? Only one way to find out. The drone hummed to life. It floated up from the table, small lights blinking. Daehyun held out his arm and the drone extended a tiny needle. He barely felt it take the sample. Then it floated over to Aaron. She held still while it injected the modified markers into her arm. They waited. Minutes passed. The countdown showed 9 hours remaining. Check the security panel, Daehyun said. Aaron ran to the main corridor and pressed her hand to the panel. The symbols glowed. She studied them, her expression changing from hope to disappointment. It's not working, she said quietly. The system still reads me as pure royal blood. Daehyun felt his heart sink. He walked to where she stood and looked at the panel himself. The countdown continued, uncaring. Maybe it needs more time, he suggested. They waited another hour, then another. The countdown reached 6 hours, then 5. The biosignature did not change. It's not enough, Aaron said finally. The markers are too weak. The system is too sophisticated. Dae-hyun slammed his hand against the wall. There has to be another way. I'm missing something. You are not missing anything. You tried. You showed me something my people forgot. Aaron touched his shoulder gently. You showed me that solving problems takes creativity, adaptation. Those are human strengths, but they're not enough this time. Maybe not. She took a breath. We have 5 hours left. We need to make a choice. Dae-hyun looked at her. Really looked at her. She was not just a princess anymore. She was a person, someone who dreamed of seeing the stars, who questioned her father's ways, who had saved his life. I remember something, he said slowly. Back on Earth before I came here, a scientist named Kyungmin was studying Valthran biology. She said something about your DNA being more adaptable than we thought, that it could accept foreign markers quickly under the right conditions. What conditions? Emotional response, stress, the body's natural state during... He stopped. During mating, Aaron finished. Yes, our bodies open to DNA exchange when we bond. It is biological, chemical. That is why the procedure works. So the artificial method failed because it was artificial? Yes. They stood in silence. The countdown ticked away. 4 hours and 53 minutes. Aaron, Dae-hyun said carefully, if we do this, if we go through with it, I need you to know something. What? I won't think less of you. I won't use this against you. And if we survive, if we get out, I'll help you face your father. Whatever happens, Aaron's eyes glistened. He realized with shock that Valthran could cry. Tears that shimmered purple in the blue light. You are not what my father said. Humans are not weak or simple. She smiled, small and sad. You are brave and kind, and I am grateful to know you even like this. Then we face this together, Dae-hyun said, as equals, as partners. As partners, she agreed. They looked at each other, human and Valthran, in the dim light of an ancient bunker. Outside, their peoples moved toward war. Inside, they moved toward each other, choosing survival together. The countdown showed 4 hours and 30 minutes when Dae-hyun had an idea. He was sitting in the tactical command center, a room they had found deep in the bunker. Old displays showed maps of the palace above, defense systems, communication networks. All dead, all dark, except one small panel in the corner. Aaron, he called. Come look at this. She joined him, her eyes following his pointing finger. A tiny green light blinked on a panel that looked older than everything else in the room. What is that section? He asked. Aaron studied the ancient Valthran symbols. Auxiliary systems, from the original bunker construction. She touched the panel carefully. This is very old technology. From before the security updates, before the self-destruct protocol. Yes, this bunker was built in stages. First the basic structure during the plague, then security systems added later when the royal family established the hostage protocols. Dae-hyun felt his mind racing. This was what humans were good at. Finding the cracks, the weak points, the old code that did not match new code. Can you access it? Aaron pressed her hand to the panel. It glowed faintly. Text appeared, scrolling an ancient Valthran script. She read quickly, her eyes moving fast. This controls the original environmental systems. Temperature, air, lighting, and... She stopped. And bioscanners. The original bioscanners? Before the security upgrade? Yes, they worked differently, simpler. They only checked for life signs, not specific DNA patterns. Dae-hyun stood up, excitement building. So if we could route the security system through the old scanners instead of the new ones, the system might not recognize the specific royal signature. It would just see 2 life forms. Aaron looked at him with growing hope. It might not trigger the countdown. Can you reprogram it? I do not know. The interface is ancient. The programming language is not used anymore, but it's still programming. It's still logic and code. Dae-hyun pulled up a chair. Show me the structure. Let's break it down. They worked together, human and Valthran, studying the old code. Dae-hyun could not read the language, but he understood programming concepts, variables, loops, conditions. Logic was logic, no matter what species wrote it. Here, he said, pointing. This function calls the new bioscanners. If we comment it out and redirect to the old scanner function, it might work. Aaron's fingers moved over the interface. But I need to find the old scanner function first. It's buried in archived code. Hours passed. 3 hours left on the countdown. Then 2.5. They dug through layers of old programming, tracing connections, testing theories. Above them in the palace, chaos continued. Jiwan stood in front of Emperor Vorath himself. The emperor sat on his throne, his face carved from ice. "Your people attacked my daughter," he said, his voice shaking the room, "and now she is missing. Your diplomat is missing. Do you expect me to believe this is coincidence?" "The attackers were Valthrin, Your Majesty," Jiwan said firmly. "We have analyzed the weapons, the armor. They match your Purifier faction. Lies, planted evidence." Commander Tajin stood beside Jiwan, his hand near his weapon. Around them, Valthrin guards held their own weapons ready. "One wrong word and blood would spill. Please," Jiwan said. "Let us help search. My brother would never harm the princess. He is a man of peace." "A peace?" The Emperor laughed bitterly. "There is no peace between humans and Valthrin. There is only the strong and the weak. And humans are weak. Then why do you fear us?" Jiwan asked quietly. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "I do not fear you." "Then prove it. Let us search together, find the truth together." For a long moment the Emperor said nothing. Then he waved his hand. "You have 12 hours. If my daughter is not found by then, your fleet will be destroyed." In the bunker, Daehyun and Aaron finally found what they needed. The old scanner function was there, buried deep in archived code. Aaron worked to reconnect it to the main security system. "This is delicate," she said, her fingers moving carefully. "If I make one mistake, the system might trigger the self-destruct immediately." "You won't make a mistake." Daehyun stood behind her, watching. "You're brilliant. I've seen how your mind works." She glanced at him, a small smile on her face. "Flattery will not make the code work faster." "It's not flattery. It's truth." Aaron returned to her work. The countdown showed 1 hour and 45 minutes. She entered the final commands, linking the old scanner system to the security protocols. "Ready," she said. "This will either work or it won't." Daehyun squeezed her shoulder gently. "Do it." She pressed the final key. The panel flickered. The lights in the bunker dimmed, then brightened. Systems hummed and clicked. The countdown timer blinked, then it stopped, then it disappeared. Aaron checked the main security panel in the corridor. The countdown is gone. The system is reading the old bioscanners now. It sees 2 life forms but no specific royal signature. Daehyun felt relief wash over him. "We did it. You did it. Your human mind saw the solution. Your adaptability, your ability to work with old technology." Aaron turned to face him. "My people would have accepted the countdown. We would have died here thinking there was no other way. But there was another way. Because you looked for it. Because humans never accept death quietly." They stood close, both breathing hard from tension and relief. The crisis was over. They had survived. Then the panel beeped. They both jumped. Aaron checked it quickly. Her expression changed. "The old scanner system is degrading." "It's too old, not maintained. It's showing errors. How long do we have?" "The system will fail completely in about 6 hours. Then it will default back to the new security protocols." She looked at him. "The countdown will start again." 6 hours, okay. Daehyun thought fast. "Can we use those 6 hours to find another way out? Maybe force the doors?" "The doors are sealed with Trellic locks. They need either the main power to be shut down or—" Aaron stopped. "Or a royal command code from outside. Then we need to signal outside. Break through the communication block somehow." They searched the bunker again, this time looking for any way to send a message through the walls. Daehyun examined every system, every old machine. In a forgotten storage room, he found something interesting. A maintenance drone, very old, designed for repairs. It was built to travel through the ventilation system. "Can this drone go outside the bunker?" he asked. Aaron examined it. "Maybe. The vents connect to the palace system eventually. But it's a long path and the drone is very old. Can you program it to carry a message?" "Yes, a simple one." They worked together to repair the drone and program a message. Just their location and a request for extraction. Aaron used her personal signature code, something only the royal family would recognize. "This is our best chance," Daehyun said, as they released the drone into the vent system. "Human ingenuity meets Valthrin technology. Do you think it will work?" "I think we've gotten this far by trying everything. We don't stop now." The drone disappeared into the darkness of the vent. They could only wait and hope it would survive the journey to the surface. 4 hours left before the scanner system failed. 4 hours before the countdown would start again. 4 hours to hope their message reached someone who could help. Daehyun and Aaron sat together in the living quarters, exhausted but unable to rest. "Whatever happens," Aaron said quietly, "I am glad I met you. You showed me that my father is wrong about humans. And you showed me that Valthrin are not all cold warriors. Some of you dream of better things." They sat in comfortable silence, two beings from different worlds, waiting to see if human innovation and Valthrin determination could save them both. 2 hours passed. The old scanner system flickered and beeped warnings. Daehyun watched the displays with growing worry. The maintenance drone had not returned. No signal had come from outside. They were running out of time again. Erin sat on the floor, her back against the wall. She looked tired. Not just physically tired, but tired in her soul. "The drone failed," she said quietly. "It was too old, or the path was blocked, or it simply broke down. We don't know that yet." "Yes, we do. Look at the timer." She pointed to the panel. 1 hour and 30 minutes before the old system fails completely. Then the countdown starts again, and this time we have no other tricks. Daehyun slid down to sit beside her. "We could try to force the door. Use the old weapons we found. The weapons would damage the door, yes. But Trellic metal repairs itself. We would need sustained fire for hours. We do not have that much power." They sat in silence. The bunker felt smaller now, like walls closing in. Daehyun thought about Earth, about Ji-won searching for him. He thought about all the things he had not said to his sister, his family. All the things he might never say. "I'm sorry," he said to Aaron. "I tried everything. All my human adaptability, all my clever ideas. None of it was enough. You tried. That is more than most would do." Aaron turned to look at him. "And you treated me like a person, not just a problem to solve. That means something. It means I failed." "No." She reached out and took his hand, her cool skin against his warm skin. "You gave me hope. You showed me a different way of thinking. That is not failure." Daehyun looked at their joined hands, human and Valthrin. He thought about everything that had happened. The attack, the escape, the long hours working together, getting to know her, seeing past the princess to the person underneath. "Aaron," he said slowly, "the original solution. The DNA exchange. We could still do that." She was quiet for a moment. "Yes, we could. The old system has 1 hour left. If we act now, if we change your biosignature the natural way, the system will read the change. Even when it switches back to the new security protocols, you won't be recognized as pure royal blood anymore. The countdown won't trigger." "I know, so why are we sitting here?" Aaron looked at him with those black eyes. "Because you taught me something. You taught me about choice, about doing things because we want to, not just because we must." Daehyun understood. "You want to choose this, not just accept it as the only option?" "Yes, and I want you to choose it too." He thought about that. Really thought about it. Not as a diplomat, not as someone trying to prevent war, but as a person. As Daehyun. "When we first got trapped," he said, "I saw it as a problem. A situation to escape. But these past 2 days, talking with you, working with you, I saw something different." "What did you see?" "I saw someone brave. Someone who questions her own people's fears. Someone who dreams of stars and other worlds." He squeezed her hand gently. "I saw someone I respect. Someone I care about." Aaron's eyes shimmered with tears again. "My whole life I was told humans were animals. Crude, simple, weak. But you are none of those things. You are brilliant and kind and strong in ways my people do not understand. So maybe," Daehyun said, "maybe this is not just about survival. Maybe this is about choice. About two people choosing to trust each other. Even knowing what it means. What my father will do? Your father can try. But humans are very good at surviving angry emperors." Aaron laughed, a sound like music. "You are insane." "Probably." They sat together, still holding hands. The timer counted down. 58 minutes, 57. "Daehyun," Aaron said softly, "I choose this. I choose you. Not because I must, but because I want to." He turned to face her fully. "I choose this too. I choose to trust you, to stand with you, whatever comes next." She leaned closer. Their faces were inches apart. "In Valthrin bonding, we share more than just DNA. We share emotions, memories, a piece of our souls." "That sounds terrifying." "It is. But also beautiful." "Show me," he said. She kissed him. Not like a human kiss, but something deeper. He felt warmth spread through him. Not just physical, but something else. Like colors he had never seen before, sounds he had never heard. Her emotions flowed into him and his into her. He felt her fear of her father, her loneliness in the palace, her dreams of freedom. And she felt his determination, his love for his sister, his hope for peace between their peoples. Time seemed to stop. Or maybe it moved differently. When they finally separated, both were breathing hard. "Is it done?" he asked. Erin stood and walked to the security panel on shaky legs. She pressed her hand to it. The symbols glowed, then changed. New patterns appeared, mixing Valthran markers with something else. Something human. "Yes," she whispered. "The system reads me as changed. Mixed blood. No longer pure royal." The old scanner system failed right then, flickering out. The security system switched back to the new protocols. They both held their breath. The countdown did not appear. "We're safe," Daehyun said, standing beside her. "From the bunker, yes." Erin touched the panel, seeing her altered biosignature. "But from my father? From the Empire? That is a different question. Then we face that together too." She smiled at him, real and warm. Together. But their relief was short-lived. The security panel suddenly flashed red. New symbols appeared. "What is that?" Daehyun asked. Erin's face went pale. "Someone is accessing the bunker from outside. They have the override codes." She looked at him with fear. "My father found us." The heavy door at the bunker's entrance began to grind open for the first time in 2 days. Light flooded in from the corridor beyond. Voices echoed, getting closer. Daehyun and Aaron stood together, facing the opening door. Whatever came next, they would face it side by side. "No matter what happens," he said, taking her hand again, "no matter what your father says or does, remember this moment. Remember that we chose this." "I will never forget," she promised. The door opened fully. Silhouettes appeared in the bright light. Valthran guards, many of them weapons ready, and behind them a figure Daehyun recognized from briefings. Emperor Vorath himself, his face twisted with rage. "My daughter," the Emperor's voice boomed through the bunker. "What have you done?" Aaron stepped forward, still holding Daehyun's hand. Her voice was steady, strong. "I survived, Father, and I did it my way, not yours." The Emperor's eyes fell to their joined hands, then to a scanner one of his guards held, showing Aaron's altered biosignature. His expression went from rage to something worse. "Horror and disgust, you mixed your blood," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "With a human? Yes. You have corrupted the royal line, dishonored your family, betrayed your people." "No," Aaron said firmly. "I chose survival. I chose peace. And I chose someone who treated me like a person, not a political tool." The Emperor looked at Daehyun. "You, human, you will die for this." But before the guards could move, another voice called from behind the Emperor. "Father, wait!" A tall Valthran pushed through the guards. He wore royal colors, and Daehyun guessed this was Aaron's brother, Prince Kethril. "The human delegation has evidence," Kethril said, "about the attack. You need to see it before you act." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "What evidence?" "Let them show you, then decide." Behind Kethril, more figures appeared, human figures, and leading them was Jiwon, her face showing relief when she saw her brother alive. The bunker suddenly felt very crowded. 2 species, 2 royal families, and between them, Daehyun and Aaron still holding hands, waiting to see if their choice would lead to peace or war. The bunker corridor was packed with bodies. Valthran guards in their silver armor stood on one side, weapons ready. Human marines in tactical gear stood on the other side, equally ready. In the middle, Emperor Vorath stared at his daughter with eyes full of fury. Daehyun kept holding Aaron's hand. He could feel her trembling slightly, but her face stayed calm and strong. Jiwon pushed through the human side, her eyes locked on her brother. "Daehyun," she said, relief flooding her voice. "You're alive." "I'm fine," he replied. "We both are." "Fine?" Emperor Vorath's voice shook the walls. "My daughter has been corrupted. The royal bloodline has been tainted with human DNA. There is nothing fine about this." Prince Kethril stepped forward, a datapad in his hand. "Father, please. Look at this evidence first." The human delegation discovered something important. The Emperor did not look at the pad. His eyes stayed fixed on Aaron and Daehyun. What evidence could possibly matter now? "Evidence that the attack was not random," Jiwon said, her voice firm. "Evidence that someone planned all of this. Someone who wanted both the princess and my brother dead." That made the Emperor pause. He turned to look at Jiwon. Explain. Jiwon pulled out her own datapad and displayed a hologram. It showed security footage from the palace during the attack. We analyzed the weapons used. They were Valthran military grade, but from a specific armory. One that only royal family members can access. Kethril nodded. I checked our records. Someone accessed that armory 3 days before the attack. Someone with royal clearance. Who? The Emperor demanded. Kethril's face was grim. The access code was mine, Father. The corridor went silent. Every guard, every soldier, every person there turned to look at the prince. You? The Emperor's voice was dangerous. You attacked your own sister? No, Kethril said quickly. My code was stolen. Someone copied it without my knowledge. He showed the datapad to his father, but I investigated who could have done this. The security logs show someone else used my code. Someone who had the technical skill and the motive. He pulled up another file. It showed a Valthran noble, one of the Emperor's advisors. A face that Daehyun recognized from the banquet, Lord Theron. Aaron whispered. He's a Purifier supporter. More than a supporter, Jiwon added. We found communications between him and the Purifier faction. He planned the attack. He wanted to kill the princess, kill the human delegation, and start a war. Why would he want war? The Emperor asked. But his voice was less certain now. Because war means military spending, Commander Taejin spoke up from behind Jiwon. And Lord Theron controls half the weapons contracts in the Empire. War makes him rich and powerful. The Emperor looked at the evidence, his face unreadable. Then he looked at Aaron. Is this true? Did Theron attack you? I don't know, Father. I only know that Daehyun saved my life. We were trapped in the bunker by circumstances, not by choice. But you made a choice in that bunker. The Emperor's voice was cold again. You chose to corrupt your blood. Aaron lifted her chin. I chose to survive. The bunker's security system would have killed us both. We found a way to stop it. There are always other ways. We tried other ways, Daehyun said, speaking for the first time directly to the Emperor. We spent 48 hours looking for alternatives. We used every bit of human ingenuity and Valthran knowledge we could find. But in the end, biology was the only solution. Biology. The Emperor repeated, making the word sound dirty. You mean you bonded with my daughter? You took something sacred and used it for convenience. No. Aaron stepped forward, dropping Daehyun's hand so she could face her father fully. We chose each other. Not out of convenience, but out of respect. Out of trust. Out of something you have never understood. And what is that? Hope. Aaron's voice grew stronger. Hope the two species could work together. Hope that understanding matters more than fear. Hope that I could make my own choices instead of living under your shadow forever. The Emperor's face darkened. You dare speak to me this way? I speak the truth. You taught me that Valthran value truth above all. Aaron gestured to Daehyun. This human showed me more honor in 2 days than you have shown me in my entire life. He treated me as an equal. He listened to my thoughts. He respected my choices. He corrupted you. No, Father. You corrupted yourself with fear and hate. Aaron's voice carried through the corridor. 3,000 years ago, our people nearly died. We could have learned to understand other species, to work with them. Instead, we chose isolation and dominance. And look where it brought us, to the edge of war again. Murmurs spread through the Valthran guards. Some looked shocked. Others looked thoughtful. No one had ever spoken to the Emperor this way. Prince Kethril placed his hand on his father's arm. She speaks wisely, Father. Perhaps we should listen. You defend her corruption, I defend truth. Kethril looked at his sister with something like respect. Aaron did what she had to do to survive, and in doing so she may have shown us a better path. The Emperor pulled away from his son. He walked closer to Daehyun, studying him like an insect. You, human, do you understand what you have done? Daehyun met his gaze without flinching. I understand that I helped someone survive. I understand that I worked together with your daughter to solve an impossible problem. And I understand that humans and Valthran can accomplish more together than apart. Pretty words, but you have still violated our most sacred traditions. Your traditions, Jiwon spoke up. We're about to get millions of people killed. Your Purifier faction attacked a diplomatic mission. If we had not found the truth, our fleets would be destroying each other right now. Commander Taejin nodded. Our ships are still in position, Your Majesty. So are yours. One word from you and war begins. Is that what you want? War based on a lie? The Emperor was silent for a long moment. Everyone waited, barely breathing. Finally, he spoke. The DNA exchange. Can it be reversed? Dahyun glanced at Aaron. They had discussed this. Yes, he said. The markers will fade naturally over a few months. Or it can be accelerated with proper medical treatment. Then it will be reversed. The Emperor looked at his daughter. You will undergo the treatment. Your blood will be purified. This incident will be forgotten. No, Aaron said quietly. The word hung in the air like a bomb. What did you say? The Emperor asked, his voice dangerous. I said no. I will not reverse it. I will not pretend this did not happen. Aaron stood tall. What Dahyun and I did, we did by choice. And I stand by that choice. You would defy me? Your Emperor? I would defy injustice. Even from you, Father. The guards shifted nervously. This was unprecedented. A princess openly defying the Emperor. Kethril stepped between them. Father, perhaps there is another way. The humans have proven they did not kidnap Aaron. They have helped us find the real traitor. Maybe we owe them respect, not punishment. Respect? The Emperor looked at his son like he was speaking a foreign language. Yes, respect. Kethril glanced at Dahyun and Arin. They survived together. They trusted each other. Is that not what we claim to value? Trust in survival? The Emperor's face worked through several emotions. Rage, confusion, and something else. Maybe doubt, Your Majesty, Jiwon said carefully. My brother came here to negotiate peace. That mission can still succeed, but only if we move past old fears. Humans speak of peace while corrupting my daughter. Valthrans speak of honor while planning false wars, Jiwon countered. Neither of us is perfect, but we can choose to be better. The Emperor looked at all of them, his daughter standing defiant, his son supporting her, the humans armed but not attacking, his own guards watching and listening to words they had never heard before. Finally, he turned and walked away, his robes sweeping the floor. Take them to the throne room, all of them. I will make my decision there. The guards parted to let him pass. Aaron let out a breath she had been holding. Dahyun moved to her side again. That went well, he said quietly. She almost laughed. We are not dead yet. That is something. Jiwon joined her brother, throwing her arms around him. You idiot. I thought I lost you. I'm okay. We both are. He hugged her back, grateful for family. They were escorted out of the bunker up through the palace corridors. Human Marines walked beside Valthran guards, both groups wary but not hostile. At the center, Dahyun and Aaron walked together, two people who had faced death and chosen each other. The throne room awaited, and with it the Emperor's judgment. 3 months had passed since the bunker. 3 months since Dahyun and Arin had emerged into the light, their fates uncertain. 3 months since Emperor Vorath had made his decision. The decision had surprised everyone. The Emperor had not punished his daughter. He had not executed Dahyun. Instead, he had done something no one expected. He had listened. In the throne room that day, he had heard the full evidence about Lord Theron's conspiracy. He had seen how the Purifier faction had manipulated events to start a war, and he had seen his daughter, changed but strong, standing beside a human who had treated her with honor. The Emperor had exiled Lord Theron and disbanded the Purifier faction. He had agreed to real peace negotiations with humanity, and most surprising of all, he had named Aaron as his heir, replacing Kethril, who had stepped aside willingly. Now, Dahyun stood on an observation deck of the new joint research station. It floated at the border between human and Valthran space, a symbol of the new alliance. Through the wide windows, he could see ships from both species patrolling together. Beautiful, is it not? A voice said beside him. He turned to see Aaron approaching. She looked different than she had in the bunker. More confident, more relaxed. She wore simpler clothes now, not the heavy royal robes. Her biosignature still carried human markers, though fainter than before. She had refused the accelerated treatment, letting the changes fade naturally. It's incredible, Dahyun replied. 3 months ago, those ships would have been shooting at each other. 3 months ago, I was trapped in a bunker with a strange human thinking I would die. She smiled. How things change. They stood together, watching the stars. The research station was busy with activity. Human scientists worked alongside Valthran scholars. Marines trained with Valthran warriors. Engineers from both species collaborated on new technologies. How are the negotiations going? Dahyun asked, slowly. But forward. Aaron leaned against the window. My father is still difficult. He does not fully accept humans as equals, but he is trying. That is more than I expected. And your people? How do they see you now? Some think I am a traitor. Others think I am brave. Most are simply confused. She laughed softly. A princess who defied the emperor and survived. It is not a common story. You're more than a princess now. You're the heir, thanks to Kethril. He understood that the empire needs to change, and he knew he was too much like father to lead that change. Footsteps approached behind them. Jiwan and Commander Taejun walked up, both looking pleased. The joint training exercises went well, Taejun reported. Human speed and Valthran strength make a good combination. Better than good, Jiwan added. We're actually learning from each other. Yesterday, a Valthran warrior taught our squad a new combat technique. This morning, one of our Marines showed them how to adapt battlefield tactics on the fly. Adaptation, Aaron said thoughtfully. The human way. The survival way, Daehyun corrected, which any species can learn. Another figure joined them. Dr. Bauman, a human geneticist who had been studying Valthran biology. He looked excited, holding a datapad. You need to see this, he said, showing them his findings. The DNA exchange between humans and Valthran is more interesting than we thought. The markers do not just fade. They leave traces, permanent changes at a deep genetic level. What kind of changes? Aaron asked, concerned. Good changes. Beneficial mutations. Your immune system is stronger now, more adaptable. You can process certain human foods that Valthran normally cannot. Your body temperature regulation improved. Bowman scrolled through data. And for humans who bonded with Valthran, they show increased resistance to radiation and improved healing. So the DNA exchange is not just temporary, Daehyun said. It is permanent evolution. Exactly. Both species become stronger through the exchange. Bowman grinned. This could revolutionize how we think about interspecies cooperation. A Valthran scholar approached, overhearing the conversation. Scholar Nyren was old. His skin dulled with age, but his mind was sharp. This is what our ancestors should have learned during the plague, he said. That mixing with other species makes us stronger, not weaker. My father will not like this research, Aaron said quietly. Your father does not need to like it, Nyren replied. He only needs to accept it. And acceptance comes slowly to the old and afraid. They talked for a while longer, discussing the research, the training, the slow building of trust between two species. Eventually the others left, leaving Daehyun and Aaron alone again. Walk with me? She asked. They left the observation deck and walked through the station's corridors. It was designed with both species in mind. Corridors wide enough for Valthran height, but with temperature controls comfortable for humans. Lighting that worked for both species' eyes. Every detail showed compromise and cooperation. They reached the station's garden, a biodome filled with plants from both Earth and Casthera. The mix of green Earth plants and purple Valthran vegetation created a strange but beautiful landscape. I come here to think, Aaron said, touching a purple flower gently. It reminds me that different things can grow together. Are you happy? Daehyun asked, with how everything turned out. She considered the question. Happy is complicated. I lost my father's approval, though I never really had it. I gained respect from my people, but also suspicion. I became heir to an empire, but an empire that must change or die. That's not an answer. No, it is not. She turned to face him. But when I look at you, when I remember what we survived together, when I see this station and these ships working together, yes, I am happy. Because we chose something better. We chose each other. We chose survival. We chose adaptation. We chose to trust. She took his hand, that familiar gesture from the bunker. And in doing so, we showed both our peoples that change is possible. Daehyun squeezed her hand gently. I've been thinking about something Dr. Bowman said. About permanent changes. What about it? When we bonded in the bunker, we changed each other. Not just genetically, but in other ways. You taught me to see past fear. I taught you to question tradition. We are both different now. Better different? I think so. They sat on a bench surrounded by mixed vegetation, earth ivy climbing over Valthran crystal plants. It was peaceful here, away from politics and negotiations and the weight of two civilizations. What happens next? Aaron asked. For us, I mean. Not for our peoples. I don't know. I'm still a diplomat. You're a princess and an heir. We live in different worlds, but we visit the same station. She smiled. And perhaps sometimes different worlds can share the same space. Like this garden, like this garden. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the mixed plants grow together. Outside, human and Valthran ships continued their joint patrols. Inside, scientists and scholars shared knowledge. Everywhere, slowly but surely, two species learned to trust each other, because one human and one Valthran had been trapped in a bunker and chose survival together. Had chosen to trust when everything said they should fear. Had chosen to adapt when tradition said they should stay rigid. That was the human way. Survival through adaptation, survival through cooperation, survival through choosing hope over fear. And now it was becoming the Valthran way too. Jiwan found them in the garden an hour later. The Emperor is calling. He wants an update on the station's progress. Erin stood, returning to her role as princess and heir. But she glanced back at Daehyun. Join me? My father should hear the report from both of us. Together? Daehyun asked. Always together. They walked to the communication center, Jiwan following behind with a knowing smile. The hologram of Emperor Vorath appeared, large and imposing as always. But there were changes in him too. Subtle ones, a slight softness around his eyes. A less rigid posture, daughter, he said. Report. The station operates at full capacity, father. Human and Valthran crews work well together. Research progresses on multiple fronts. Joint patrols report no incidents, and the mixed work causes no problems? None, father. In fact, we are more efficient together than apart. The Emperor looked at Daehyun. You human? You still serve as diplomat here? Yes, your majesty. I represent Earth's interests and help coordinate with Valthran leadership. And you still... The Emperor paused, choosing words carefully. You still maintain close contact with my daughter? Aaron answered before Daehyun could. He does, and I am grateful for it. The Emperor was quiet for a moment. Then, surprising everyone, he said, Perhaps I was wrong. Aaron's eyes widened. Father, perhaps I was wrong to see humans as weak. Your kind survives through adaptation. That is a strength I did not understand. He looked at Daehyun. You protected my daughter. You worked with her. You chose honor over opportunity. That is worthy of respect. Thank you, your majesty, Daehyun said, genuinely surprised. Do not think this means I approve of everything. I do not, but I am learning to accept that the old ways are not always the best ways. That is wisdom, father, Aaron said softly. The Emperor nodded and ended the transmission. In the silence that followed, Aaron turned to Daehyun with tears in her eyes. He is trying, she said, actually trying. Change comes slowly to the old and afraid, Daehyun quoted scholar Narration. But it comes. They returned to their duties, managing the station, coordinating between species, building bridges between civilizations. The work was hard, often frustrating,